Mr. Tim Brando is here, Fox Sports and Shreveport guy, which is why we wanted to talk to you today. Specifically, man, oh man, the buzz that you have created with your slam dunk for Shreveport.com video. Tell us originally how that came to be. Who came to who? Tell us sort of the step-by-step process that you decided this is something I need to get behind, this arena proposal.
I've been behind it from the very beginning, and I did have the occasion to speak with the mayor and the mayor's people. I think that the people that she's surrounded herself with are really, really good at what they do. Every one of the people that are working with her, I have tremendous respect for the COO, the CAO, as well as Arlena Acree, who I know has the best interests of our town at heart. I really do believe that every major downtown area that I visit, whether it's Durham, North Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky, I can go on and on. Recently in Waco, Texas, Corporate Realty did a deal around the Brazos River in Waco, around McLean Stadium, that's just magnificent, along the interstate corridor to make Waco special. You know, every town has pluses and limitations, but to use the pluses to your maximum is how you grow the commerce in your city. I travel more, I think, than anyone domestically out of the Shreveport-Bossier area, and I go into small towns and I go into large towns. So I've seen how it can work in other areas, and the work of Corporate Realty has just been magnificent, and I've seen it in multiple locations. So they contacted me about it, and I was firmly behind it as a citizen. This is something that fell into their laps, and they were competing with other cities, and so they couldn't go public as early as some of the quote-unquote naysayers, the Elliott Stone-Cyphers of the world, want them to always go public. And every politician and every person that holds office is not a criminal. And that mentality, which I think the seeds were sown for that kind of mentality during the Jim Crow South segregation era that Robert J. Wright and Tim Brando grew up seeing and not understanding fully until we got older. You know, we got to get rid of that. And I was in front of a city council meeting listening to one councilman talk about a focus group of one, a man he worked with in Ellerby who's white and who would not take his white family down to see a predominantly black basketball team play. So a focus group of one in that narrow-minded man's mind is enough to keep this kind of growth, this kind of opportunity, a $30 million bond issue that's going to get you a $150 private sector investment. I mean, that's senseless, absolutely senseless. And I will tell you that the future of Northwest Louisiana, not just Shreveport, the future of Northwest Louisiana economically rests in the balance of this decision coming up on Tuesday.
You touched on them there. There are a lot of people from a municipality standpoint who are saying, don't spend the money this way. But there's also an obstacle being created where people have been saying from the get-go, Shreveport can't support sports. And I know that you've been crushing on this one. So why is this different than everything else? I know you've hit this a lot before, but for people who haven't heard it yet, why is this G League opportunity different than everything in the past?
Because there's not a problem with ownership, either in the league or with the franchise. The developmental league of the National Basketball Association only had 10 teams a couple of years ago. They're moving up to 28. And Mr. Benson is committed to going in this direction. The NBA just got a $2 billion television deal. That's billion with a B. I keep up with the business of sports. It's my life. I did the NBA. I'm not doing it now, but I understand the business of sports. Underwriting the team, okay, and making sure that the team is taken care of is not a problem. It's not an issue. It's already taken care of. They just need a place to play. That's all they want. And they're also going to be able to have a place for the New Orleans Saints to train with this bond issues passing. Everything that didn't work in the past had either an ownership problem, okay, that was the issue, obviously, with the Canadian Football League, but also the CFL as a whole tried coming in the United States, and it didn't work. They were in Baltimore. It didn't work. Just because it didn't work in Shreveport doesn't mean that it was indigenous to our area. The captains were viable as long as they were connected to a major league sports franchise. Once that ended and it became an independent league team, you're not going to fool people. Sports people know when it's not affiliated with a major league franchise, and so they stopped going. The Swamp Dragons had no chance. Okay, and going as far back as the WFL, when I was coming out of high school in 1974 and 75, it was one of the most successful franchises of that league. But the league had an economic problem. So you don't have that issue. And I hear sometimes the media talking about a minor league team. No. There's nothing minor about the NBA. It's major, big time. ESPN's offshoot channels will be coming in to televise as well. This is a way to bring opportunity and development, not just to commerce, but through a sports team. And so many of these towns that I've talked about, the infrastructure of downtown, fellas, that with sports, you're able to do that. And it also brings ethnicities together. So it's viable, and it's important that young, aggressive black businessmen and young, aggressive white businessmen are all cheering for the same cause. We don't have that here. And the politics of those that say, well, it's not my idea, therefore it's not a good idea, we've got some of the people that are like that. People that are friends, Robert, of you and me, are saying, well, it's not, I was involved in this. The egos of the leaders that say, well, if it's not something I'm involved in, I'm voting against it. Shame on you. Shame on you. You shouldn't be in public office.
Pardon me, Tim. You had said something earlier at the beginning of the segment I want to follow up on. We got a couple of minutes here. You had implied that you think that a degree of the opposition to this arena, et cetera, is race-based. Do you think?
Yes.
Do you think that's the overwhelming opposition, or do you think that's a small percentage of the opposition?
No, it's just a percentage. It's just a percentage, but it's a significant percentage. As I said, if we're talking, well, we're just living, we've got too much of a poverty rate, therefore we can't support something. Well, what are you telling the people that are actually trying to make something of themselves here? And, this is not about our generation, Robert. This is about our children and our children's children. I'm not going to lie to you. I live here by choice. My kids all went to school and are now out of school, married, and having children, and I want them to have an opportunity to stay in Shreveport. I do. But I can't blame them for leaving if they see that there's no optimism and that every opportunity that comes our way, we botch. This is a private sector situation where you've got an opportunity to make an investment in your community of greater than $100 million with only a $30 million bond issue, which, by the way, is there for development only. The politicizing of this by the police union the following day, and the way that was covered in our media was maybe one of the sickest, most vile things that I've ever seen. Now, I'm pro-police. I want the community to be safe. I want them to make as much money as they possibly can. I want them to have more cars. I want them to have more tools. But you're not going to be able to do that with a bond issue that's for development only. You can do it with a tax base rising. And by the way, I pay as many taxes, if not more than my fair share, on things that I never see. This is something that you'll be able to see, and you'll be able to enjoy that your taxes are being spent on.